It is so cool to talk about the show. I am such a fan. I think the new season looks like it's kicking off something really interesting. I'm curious, as actors coming in, the first season is often about finding a character. What did season two give you a chance to do with these characters and tell the story?
I feel personally that Archie really has her armor on in season one, and her task is to educate George through what the Lazarus Project does and to make sure he doesn't use it for his own personal use and that he takes it really seriously. We see some of her relationship with Ross and where her resolve in the or her absolute devotion to the organization comes from. And in season two, I guess we get to see a more vulnerable side to her as her devotion to the Lazarus Project is sort of shaken by George's actions in season one.
Well, I mean, I suppose with George, like we see, we kind of see him wrestling with this like internal, with this actually like bigger question of once he's introduced to the Lazarus Project and the idea of time travel and that being able to be manipulated. Season one's all about him kind of figuring out whether he should be manipulating it for his own kind of motives, i.e., to bring his girlfriend back from the dead, or for the greater good, and to stop people from dying in general. That kind of like leads us into this kind of 3-week repeating time loop, and also him bringing Sarah into the knowledge of everything that's happening. So that's kind of like off the table. And he actually becomes a little bit more of a sidelined character to begin with, at least. So it's about how he can play his part within the Lazarus Project and everybody else in rectifying the situation that they're in.
You've kind of touched on it, but is George on a better path this season? And for Archie, how does she feel about George now that things have changed even further, I guess, as we start the season?
I guess at the end of season one, she's pretty angry because she didn't bring her loved one back from the dead, but George did. And I think that anger turns sort of possibly inwards because then I think Archie starts to question whether she should have done things differently and saved Ross and ultimately put herself before the organization. I also think there's some bigger questions around whether the organization is as pure as it wants to believe it is, and whether it should continue.
Yeah, and is George on the better path? He's definitely on a path to prove his worth to the people that he's working with and to make them see that he's not a bad guy and he did what he did for the right reasons and he can still be useful and all of that. But yeah, if the real question is, would he do it again given the opportunity? I think that remains unanswered.
I know this is a question you can't answer a lot, but what can fans expect this season? Is there something you can say that they can look forward to?
One thing that I'm really excited for us to share is this expansion of how time travel is used and manipulated within this world. So far we've kind of been limited to this reset back to the 1st of July, this checkpoint based time travel, but that kind of morphs into a slightly more freeform understanding of time travel that is not boundaried by those singular dates and allows us to jump forward and backwards with a bit more freedom and abandon.
Yeah, I feel like the audience feels like it's wrapped its head around the rules of time travel, and then everything is thrown out the window. And there's some mind Tetris going on that I think is quite satisfying.
I love that they're at first a few steps behind someone or something, and then something gets unlocked, I guess we could say, in terms of this whole time travel thing that you're talking about, I guess. Is there a favorite episode that you can say? You don't have to tell me anything about it, but did you have a favorite episode this time?
I think the penultimate episode.
Yeah, I seem to think that as well, but I can't actually remember what happens now.
I remember reading it and thinking it was really funny. I think it's the one where there's some disguises.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's fun. They're all very good in very different ways. But yeah, I think the first two or three kind of like set us up back into the world that we'd created so clearly in the first series, and then it really kind of like goes apeshit, really. So,
Yeah, apeshit is the right word.
so they're all great.
Thank you so much for the time. I cannot wait to see the rest of the season.
Thank you so
I can't wait
much.
for you to see it.
Yeah.
Know what you think.
Amazing.